All right, the caption on this video says, debt journey story, reason why I'm $26,000 in debt. Okay, let's see.
So this whole story starts off back in my college days. I went to college from 2012 to 2016. I didn't take out any student loans throughout my whole college journey, I guess. I paid my way through it through working 3 different jobs at a time. I worked really hard. I will say that during like little periods, my mom would send me money here and there, but nothing too crazy. I also didn't get my first credit card until I was like 22. And my balance from like 22 to 24 was never more than like 2,500. And back then, 2,500 felt like so bad. I felt like it was just outrageous. And I'm like, what I would do to have $2,500 worth of credit card debt now. I went into debt back in college because I was going out. Like, I'm going to be 100% honest. I was going out. I was shopping. I was spending money on things I was not supposed to. I did go into a little bit of debt for groceries that you need, but mainly it was for makeup because at the time it was that very much makeup-esque, like trying everything, super over-consuming time. And honestly, it was a time to be alive. But
Oh, God. When people say it was a time to be alive, I'm like, okay. Another thing is she mentioned she didn't get her first credit card until she was 22. I want to know in the comments, what was the age that you got your first credit card? I didn't get mine until I was like 27. I might have been 26. And you're probably like, why? My answer is pretty simple. I was scared to be in credit card debt. All I heard was that if you have a credit card, you're going to be in debt. So I just was like, well, how am I going to be in debt if I don't get a credit card, right? Problem solved. And when I did get one, I got one that's called a military star card. Essentially, it's one that you can use on post if you're in the military, and it gives you some other perks. But the first thing I actually bought was a laptop because I was in college and I needed a laptop. And I was talking to one of my friends and he was like, why don't you just buy it with a credit card if you have the money? And he started telling me how I was missing out on the points and the benefits. And I just was like, okay, well, I'm responsible. I'll try it out. I've had no issues personally with credit cards, but I understand a lot of people struggle with them and they'll do things like how she was saying she was spending money on makeup, having a good old time. And sometimes you're just not thinking of the long-lasting effects of those credit cards, again, until years later.
Now let's fast forward to 2017, and that's the year that I ended up moving to Texas. Long story short, my dad was sick. He had cirrhosis of the liver and cancer. And so I stopped going to college and I decided to move to Texas to be by his side. And I was under a lot of stress and I gained so much weight. That is when my finances went to shit. That is when I didn't take care of myself. I was so focused on other things that I didn't care about anything. Like $2,500 worth of debt spiraled to about 4,000, 5,000. I actually met my husband on November 3rd of 2018, and from then, like, I was like, I really like this guy, and I was like, should I stay or should I not stay? So I figured that I would stay and see if we would work things out, because if it worked, it worked, and if it didn't, I could just go back home. It wasn't a big deal. I ended up with my husband. And yeah, so long story short, I ended up moving in with him, and he was stationed in Del Rio, Texas, which is in the middle of bumfuck of nowhere. He leaves for deployment in 2019. You already know what happens 2020. So we're actually looking forward. So before 2020 happens, we're like, okay, he's coming back in April. We're going to be chilling. We're so honest. I think I was just not there. Like, I just have to think about it. From 2016 to 2018, every single day of my life was consumed about cirrhosis and cancer and life, and like just very heavy. It was a very heavy time in my life. And so getting out of it, it's kind of like my body went into shock and I was very, very depressed. So starting in 2020, I went into a really bad depressive episode. And so I started just shopping. Shopping was like my outlet, and shopping was my It was my way out. It was the one thing that made me feel really good.
Honestly, very common to many videos we see on this channel where we are reviewing how people got into debt. It usually has some sort of emotional ties. So not only are they battling whatever emotional things they're typically dealing with, then they end up battling financially some other things because they were trying to cope with spending money on things. It could be makeup, it could be food, it could be clothes. So if you notice that you're one of those people that, hey, whenever you're starting to feel some type of way, you're having a hard time, you start swiping your credit card, and you know you don't have the money, the money to pay it back. Once you can understand how problematic that is, you can start to get yourself out of the situation. It's kind of hard to get yourself out of a situation, though, when you don't understand why you're doing something that you're doing. So I'm glad that she understands that, because a lot of people are like, I don't know why I'm in debt. I don't know where the money went. I don't know. But if they really thought about it and connected the dots, they might say things like, oh, I was spending money on this because I wanted to feel better. Or I was doing this because I was stressed. Or maybe it could just be, oh, somebody said something about, oh, I can't afford this thing, so I went and bought it to show them I could. My point is, it usually comes back to a feeling. And many times, because we're human, sometimes we act more on our feelings than the logic, and it just puts us in a bad spot.
And so I started just shopping. Shopping was like my outlet, and shopping was my way out. It was the one thing that made me feel really good. So I would shop and I would just do things to try to fill in a void that obviously was never filled.
I'm glad that she said the void is never filled. Yeah, you think that you're going to buy that one thing and you're going to be satisfied. You're not. You're going to want more. You're going to want every variation, every color. Some of y'all become collectors of whatever the thing is. And you have to ask, why is it never enough? Honestly, that's a question you have to ask yourself. And I do want to point out, there is a difference between you going and getting things that you actually can afford, even though that's probably still not going to make you feel all the way satisfied. There's a difference between doing that and burying yourself into debt, swiping credit cards with money that you really don't have or don't have the plan on how you're going to pay back for a bunch of stuff that's still probably not going to give you satisfaction. That's still not going to make you feel like it's enough. Whenever you dig yourself into debt, you don't think you're going to be even more stressed than before when you was buying all the stuff that you didn't need to buy, trying to make yourself feel better?
So I would shop and I would just do things to try to fill in a void that obviously was never filled. When my husband came back in 2020 and he proposed, and then we planned our wedding. We spent money on our wedding, and our wedding cost about $50,000. We did take out a loan for it, but it all paid, like the wedding's we paid off. We found out it was again, and that is when I hit the ban. So at that time, I had about maybe $12,000 for the buck debt. And I decided I'm going to work my ass off while he's gone, and I'm going to pay off all this.
Yeah.
So I do. And I pay off about $8,000 worth of debt in about 4 or 5 months. But this is me constantly working, not taking any time off. I'm not taking care of him. I'm not. I hit a point where I was just not doing okay mentally. I was going into a mental institution. I swear. I thought I was going to. That is when I started therapy. I was doing okay for a bit, and then all of a sudden I stopped working as much, and then I racked it all back up.
She didn't even successfully get out of the debt, but then she racked it back up because, again, this is the emotion. I want to point this out, and I'm really hounding on this so you can see. She was stressed. She spent money and racked up the debt. The debt is going to make her more stressed. And what's crazy is you're stressed likely because you're overworking yourself. You're tired. You're exhausted because you're trying to get out of debt, which I applaud. I do. But trying to get out of debt in itself can be a stressful experience for a lot of people because we're just human. We're not AI. We're not just working around the clock. We get tired. We get fed up. We get sick. We go through things. Sometimes we just get burnt out. We just tired of working. And when you think about why she was doing all of this, it's because she wanted to be out of debt so bad. Kind of makes you wonder, is whatever you bought, just think about your own situation, is whatever you're buying worth the heartache, worth the physical labor and pain that you are going to have to go through to try to fix your problems that you created?
I racked it all back up. I went back up to $12,000 to $14,000 if I need to. And then we found out that we were moving to Virginia. This time I have about $17,000 of debt. And it just keeps going up. I like nice things, and I know I'm...
Girl, I seen that Gucci. Did y'all see it? Miss Ma'am had a Gucci, whatever that thing was in her hand. I didn't want to get distracted, but I could tell she liked the nice things. And there's nothing wrong with it. Don't get me wrong. We're human. A lot of y'all got really expensive taste, and that it might be why you're in debt.
I like nice things, and I know I'm the problem. It's me. I'm having issues, but income was just like not coming in, so I had to use my credit cards for about 2 months, and obviously that racked it up to like 20 something. 2023 comes around, and I am shooketh. I'm not happy. 2023 was very much self-reflection, and I was waking up from everything that had happened from 2015 forward. I was like, damn, I really gotta get back together.
I'm a little lost because her husband deployed. I'm saying this as somebody who was in the military for 10 years, active duty. Now, I don't know but he deployed. And I deployed too to Afghanistan, and the money was pretty okay. So what's a little bit confusing about this to me is she is saying that she's married to, it sounds like somebody in the military, right? She's saying she didn't have a job, which I can understand. Stuff can start getting real when you don't have income. But her husband, which I don't know, maybe she was still trying to take care of her father because her father was sick. But if she was living with her husband, in the military, they pay for you to live on post or off post. You're given money. And I think where I'm a little confused is it's kind of sounding like she's saying she's paying for like her things for these 2 years or however long she was out of work by herself. But then she's saying she has expensive taste. What things were going on the credit card, man? Because was it the others? Was it the Gucci that we seen earlier? Because I seen it. Was it the finer things in life? And I honestly love when people just show what they're really spending the money on, because when we hear people tell these stories, a lot of times I'm left with a head scratching moment. Like, Now, to somebody who wasn't in the military, this all might check out. But maybe it's just not being explained. And I don't want to make any assumptions, but I'm just saying the military pays for you to live, and not just you, your spouse. Like, they're actually obligated to housing. So I'm just like, okay, we're going to go with it though. So fast forward to September of 2023, I did a job where it actually paid a good amount, because $12 an hour at the spot was just not it. And on top of that, I was not changing my lifestyle, just because I just didn't care. No, like, if I'm going to work extra, I'm going to work for like a good amount. And at that point, I was like, I really don't want to go back to nannying. I really don't, but I know that they pay pretty good. So I was like, you know what, let me check around and see what I can find. And then I found a job that pays $25 an hour, and it's a nanny position, and I got it. I started in October, and in October I realized working so much sucks. Like, I never want to do this to myself again. This is so like, I wish I could just work my one job and be happy. No. So that is when I decided to really take my kids seriously, was October of 2023. 2024, oh my goodness, I can seem to have been this 2024. And so now I have a $14,000 loan, and I have a $4,000 loan, and then I have a $7,000 car loan, for a total of $26,379. But it'll be okay. It will be okay. I just have to work my little butt off. Now, she said she likes the finer things in life, and I have nothing wrong with her wanting what she wants or liking what she likes. But what's really making me sad about the whole thing is her face is saying it wasn't worth it. The way she's detailing this story, it doesn't sound like anything she bought was worth all the headache and the heartache. She's doing the nanny job, which is paying great, by the way. That is great. But earlier, she said just a minute ago, she didn't want to go back to it, but it pays great. So you have no choice when you start putting yourself in these bad financial situations. Do you see how bad this can get year after year? Honestly, it's just one thing after another. Like, you might have a sick parent you're trying to help out. It's stress that's coming along with that. Then you might have health issues. Then you're coping to spend money to try to make yourself feel better. You never really feel better, but you just ran it up. And then you do it year after year. Then you take time off from work. And then you don't have any money, even though she was married to a military person. But she still racked up more debt nonetheless. And it's just really sad, because it's like listening to the stories. I hope other people can just feel what I'm feeling and see what I'm seeing. For most of us, we don't just have access to an unlimited amount of funds or resources or money. And when you spend like you do, you keep yourself on the hamster wheel, constantly having to go to work. And then you're really about to be upset. I just really hope this opens somebody's eyes up.
And pay this off and hopefully not go through this ever again.
But I need to know what you all think about this one down below. Have you ever caught yourself emotionally spending money that you really didn't have to spend because you were trying to cope with the issue? And if so, what were you able to do to stop that habit? Or are you still on your debt journey? And that's perfectly fine, but we got to start making better decisions today in order to have a better future.